Welcome back to the report. Now, 8% of the UK population is Asian, but only 4% of foster carers come from this background. It's a staggering statistic, and one which the children's charities have been trying to change in recent years. According to the charity Fostering Network, more than 8,000 new foster carers are required to meet the needs of the rising number of children coming into care this year. Currently, only 55,000 families care for over 64,000 children, with the number expected to increase in the next year. Charities have been proposing new ways to cover the shortfall, and one avenue has been to encourage the Asian community to foster. Children's charity Barnardo's have started a campaign this year to urge more Asian families to foster. They're focusing on key areas such as the northwest and the southeast of England, where there's a shortfall. Barnardo's say that although the society is becoming increasingly diverse, the background of those who foster isn't. In the Muslim community, which represents the main demographic of the Asian community in the UK, there are many reasons why fostering has often been a neglected practice. To discuss these reasons and the ways to tackle it, we have Brenda Farrell, who's Head of Family Placement at the children's charity Barnardo's, and on the line we're joined by Abdul Parveen, who, along with his wife Zahida, have been fostering for the past 2 years. Welcome to the programme, Brenda.
Yeah.
OK, so what's the specific problem here? Why is there such a disjunction between the percentage of the population and the percentage of fosterers in the Asian community?
From our experience in Barnardo's, it's about awareness. I think we have learnt over the years that it's very important to communicate to different communities about the needs of children who come into care and the importance and growing requirements for members of communities to come forward, to believe that they can foster. And part of our campaign at the moment is to raise awareness among the Muslim community about how you become a foster carer, what support and training is available, what are the care needs of the children that are looking for foster placements. And that's very much the focus of the campaign, to raise awareness and then obviously encourage carers or potential carers to come forward and find out what is actually involved in becoming a foster carer.
Abdul, you're obviously part of an unrepresentative minority in a way. What was it that got you to decide to become a foster parent?
Well, there was a time when I was in Pakistan and I was visiting a lot of orphanages there, and I was seeing the plight of the children there, and that brought it home to me originally. And then we decided that it was too lengthy a process, and that when we get back to England, we will look at helping vulnerable children. And through our experience with fostering, it's been very, very positive. I'm a practicing Muslim. My wife's practicing. And the whole process of family finding for these vulnerable and lonely children goes through a thorough process. And the actual family finding part of it is done by a very professional team at Barnardo. And along the way, the longer that we've been doing it, the longer we've realized that it needs to be done. It needs to be done by an Asian community where you got Muslim children for the culture, for the heritage, to give them a nurtured home upbringing,
And Abdul, what was the reaction in the community when you became a foster parent? Were people surprised? Were other people encouraged to do it? What was the reaction?
Alhamdulillah, my own family, I've got grown-up children and that. We have these anxieties ourselves. We're thinking, how will our children be? How will our close family be? How will our neighbours react? These new children coming into our house, and well, alhamdulillah, everything's worked out perfect. Our children enjoy the children, their company. Our neighbours, they've appreciated it, what we're doing, and instead of talking negative, they're very positive about it. Our relatives are very positive about it, saying that it's a wonderful thing that we're doing. But it's initially taking that first step. It's so many examples.
Yeah, let me just bring this back to the studio a minute. So, Brenda, first of all, what will it be that will encourage people to take that first step, as Abdul says? And, he's got a good story to report. Are all the stories as good as that?
I think people's personal experience are quite varied because everybody's personal circumstances are very different. Obviously, with Barnardo's, we've many years of experience of working with people who've come forward to foster. And for many, they may feel it is the right time for them and their family. But unfortunately, the circumstances may not be appropriate, whether they may be about to move a house, or children are young, or they may not have the availability, maybe busy careers, professions. So it's important that we meet with applicants and discuss with them about whether this is the right time for them to apply, and help them to make those decisions. As Abdul's reflected, it is important because your whole family is affected when you move into the fostering role. And it's important that your family's ready to understand the care needs of the children you're going to be looking after. As Abdul has referenced, caring for children in fostering role is very challenging, but it's very rewarding. And part of our experience, Barnardo's, is preparing applicants to understand what the role and what it will actually mean for them and their families. And support is critical. As Abdul's referenced, family support, community support, both for the families that are fostering, but for the children themselves.
And just tell us a bit about this programme that you're involved in now to if you like, to alter those statistics in the Asian community. What specifically are you doing now to do that perhaps you wouldn't have done in the past?
Obviously, if we take our situation in the northwest of England, we work very closely with the local authorities who work with us in identifying the needs of children who need foster carers. And primarily, we're seeing the number of children looking for foster homes in Manchester, Trafford, Burnley increasing. And working with those authorities, Barnardo's want to ensure that we have the breadth of foster carers represented to meet those children's needs. Because the cultural importance, as Abdul's referenced, is critical. Their health, their well-being, all of us as regards our culture and heritage, our identity as children, makes us stronger as individuals moving forward as we grow up into society. And so our campaign also focuses in the southeast. Same as working in authorities for children looking for placements, coming from Kent and from Reading and Slough. So it's working with those communities because we want to ensure that the carers we have are representative of our society and can really tune into and understand the breadth of needs of all the children that are looking for foster placements.
Abdul, from your experience, if you were sort of advising Barnardo's or the local authorities about how to engage the Muslim community, how to find more foster carers among the Muslim community, what would your advice to them be?
My personal experience would be that I think the general public and the Muslims amongst them, they feel that the children that are coming into foster care, they might be a bit disruptive, abusive, and that they don't want these sort of children in their homes. But that taboo linked to them children needs to be, it needs to be gone, really. So I think addressing them, maybe especially the Muslim community in the masjids, in the mosques, talking to the imams, maybe little groups, in the community centres, where people, like me as a foster carer, maybe I can sit with some people in the little community and talk to them about, about my role as a foster carer, and about breaking boundaries. I mean, me personally, the initial call that I made to Barnardo's was probably one of the best calls that I've ever made, and the professionalism from Barnardo's side that they help you through the process of becoming a foster carer is the main goal. That's what kept me going, and it's just making that initial call.
Okay. Abdul sounds like a man you should get on the road. Is that what you're doing? I mean, are you getting the Asian foster parents to begin this process kind of at the front of your operation?
Yes. Over many years, I could name a number of very successful and very experienced foster carers we have across England who work with a number of our Barnardo services. Abdul's situation is just one representation, and I'm very proud of that because Barnardo's fostering wouldn't be the success it is in placing vulnerable children in loving homes if it wasn't for the likes of Abdul and his family. Because as Abdul referenced, we are caring for children and we need foster carers who can work as part of a team, we can then help to understand why maybe a child's behaviour is a particular way, and find solutions to unlock and help that child settle and understand the importance and significance of having a stable, loving, secure home and being part of a caring community as well, which is very important. I think a lot of us take it for granted. And for some of our children who can no longer live as part of their local community, either for a temporary or for a long-term basis, that's why having Muslim carers coming forward will ensure that there is consistency for those young people as they grow up. And some will stay well on to adulthood, because we have a variety of children who are looking for foster homes. Some, usually the children we look for are 5+, and they will come with a variety of needs. Some may have experienced abuse, some may have experienced neglect, and it's important that we work with, support and train, because I'm sure Abdul would reference the training he's had, to help him understand the experience these children have had, to help him and equip him, his wife and his children, to understand how can we help, nurture, protect and ensure that this young person feels secure within their new home.
Well, just tell us a little bit about that. I mean, Abdul said it starts with a phone call, it started with him, with a phone call to your organisation. But what happens then? Quite a long road, I imagine, before there's actually a child arrives in your home.
Yes, I think if we were to try to quantify it, and of course everybody's experience will be different, but we would say that it on average takes about 6 months. And that's through a very detailed, what's known as an assessment process. But that's that, making that call, finding out, for me, it's about your listeners and your viewers today, about making that call, finding out, is it the right time, talking to one of our teams, and finding out, is this the right time to foster? And if it is, they will be invited along to have a meeting with probably what we refer to as their social worker or their link worker. And they will then work with them and get to know them over that 6-month period. They'll attend training, they'll have a number of home visits as we get to gather information about their strengths, abilities, knowledge and expertise that they're going to bring as individuals and families to the fostering role. Then a report is compiled and then the decision is made, this is the right time for this family to proceed.
Abdul, did that period, did it feel like a long time before, between you, volunteering, contacting Barnardo's and going through that process? Did that feel like a long journey?
It does seem like it, because, there's so many regulations that you have to follow and so much paperwork that you have to do. But the social worker will come to your house, she will sit with you, and she'll make it comfortable for you, she will always ask you, that if she's happy with you, and then the process continues, and then if she feels that, there's any doubt about it, she will talk to you about it, and then, you'll pull through it, and then get to the next stage, and get to the next stage. I mean, the whole fostering experience, personally, with me and Zahida, it's really, really enhanced our lives. As a family, it's brought us closer together, and it brings out the humanness out of the human when you foster. That's what I've done. I mean, personally, I work as an engineer for the last 25 years. And, you go to work, you come home, but this fostering has totally, completely changed our lives. And it's one of the most rewarding, satisfying, challenging jobs that you'll ever do. And, through our experience, we've realized that life becomes more positive, knowing that, we can make a positive change in a child's life. Just to see the children being children, that is the main issue here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brenda, I mean, you couldn't miss in this country today when we're talking about the Asian community, or particularly about the Muslim community. It's a disproportionately poor community, and it's a community that's under some political pressure. I think that would be the very least you could say. Yes. Do you think that contributes to the difficulty in getting foster parents to come forward in some way?
Of course. I mean, communities and, in our society find themselves in different positions at different times. And as you say, we are sensitive to that as an organisation, and we are mindful. But at the same time, communities that have gone through particular experiences, whether they've moved countries or they as family have been separated for some time, they bring that knowledge and expertise to the fostering role. They will understand what that may be the child's experience that they're going to care for. It's very hard to train an individual to understand loss, separation, trauma. And those skills that many members of the Muslim community, by virtue of the experiences you've outlined, may bring to the role can be very positive. And when we talk about needing foster carers from the breadth of our society, it's about bringing carers who've had life experiences as well. And I think, as Abdul's implied and I've referred to before, we will always be honest with applicants who are interested in fostering and help them to make the decision, is this the right time for them to foster? Because we all go on personal journeys, emotionally, both with families and personal experiences. And we have to take that into account, because obviously we're looking for individuals and families who are going to be resilient and strong to be able to sustain and support those young people who themselves may have had very recent trauma, bereavement, or neglect or abuse.
Okay. Brenda Farrell from Barnardo's and Abdul Parveen, thanks very much for joining us for that discussion, but I'm afraid that's all we've got time for on this episode of The Report. I want to thank all my guests on today's show and to thank you for taking the time to watch. Now, do remember, you can keep up with us on Twitter by following @IslamChannelCA and by using the hashtag The Report. But for now, we'll leave you with scenes from the Hunza Valley in northern Pakistan, where footage has emerged of an enormous landslide following the 7.5 magnitude earthquake in Pakistan earlier this week. Now, from 6 p.m, we'll be running a live appeal by the charity Islamic Help if you'd like to donate to those affected in the region. And we on The Report will be back tomorrow. But until then, good night.